Winter isn't my favorite season of the year. It's cold, people seem more bitter than usual, all around, not a fun time. Luckily, the anime in 2019 have helped ease that pain, as this season, it kicked all the ass. I don't remember having this much fun reviewing shows from a season, let alone watching as well. There's a little bit of everything for everyone, and if you're like me that likes to try many shows out, you'll leave with a full plate of weeby goodness. Let's kick things off with JoJo because Golden Wind is goddamn amazing. I've been reviewing this series for 2 seasons now, and it's the first time I wish a JoJo part wouldn't end. This ensemble cast of Golden Wind makes you care for every single character. The stands for both the main, supporting, and villain characters feel well detailed and built, so fights actually are exciting as it's no longer punch real hard and call it a day. There's way more interesting pieces at play. They even detail the characters pursuing Bruno's gang, so you get to know them on a personal level alongside the main and supporting cast. No longer do you get a JoJo personality who gets killed off, it's that on top of that, you get to know them and also feel bad when they do die. Episode 21 is easily one of the best episodes of anime I've ever seen. The way they detailed King Crimson, the main villain's stand, is complex but not overly difficult to follow, and the way David Production detailed him makes him both terrifying and someone you kinda want to root for because this guy's a badass. I've enjoyed JoJo from part 1, but part 5 is where I became a fan, foaming at the mouth, needing more episodes. This is the most polished, creative, and intense part of JoJo yet. MAPPA is probably my favorite anime studio at this point in time. From bringing back old manga series in a modern way to new and creative ones, they seem to do it all with very few dips. Dororo, a series from the godfather of manga, goes about taking this story that's been handled differently with each version, but fleshing out the already solid story by expanding characters, themes, and everything that made the original great, while incorporating new and interesting ideas alongside it. A tale of a man who lost all his humanity at birth, travels the world slaying demons and regaining pieces of his body over time. As he becomes more human, he actually becomes weaker, and this is such a unique idea for a story, but what truly ties it all together is how fleshed out the world is, with how they direct episodes to have so much detail from the visuals and framing of shots, such as how rain is a big factor early on with how the main character experiences horrible events. Just watch it and watch whatever MAPPA puts out at this point in time. I'll be honest, I actually forgot this was airing for most of the season, but to my surprise, when I started binging it again, I couldn't put it down. Production IG has a sport anime I won't go to my way to recommend, but it's one I don't think I'll be forgetting anytime soon. Making a running anime exciting just really isn't that easy, because for me, this is one of the worst sports to pick if you want to hook me. But the characters and production really hold this one together. I really love Season 1 of Mob Psycho 100, but I didn't think it was one of the best anime in recent years. But after Season 2, I've absolutely changed my mind. From Episode 1, everything was different. A lot more emotion, more noticeable character growth, and as the season got going, past events in Season 1 made a lot more sense and became more complex than I first gave credit to. Reagan's development stunned me, Mob grew up and became a completely different character than Season 1, and even Dimple got some growth. This was always visually impressive, but Season 2 let the writing match the visuals in terms of being outstanding. Sumo wrestling has never been something I've cared for, but in anime I instantly fell in love with it. I really love the main characters, the action sequences are intense, and I kept up with this one week after week because I always wanted to see where it would go next. If there's one sport anime over the past couple of seasons that I'd point out to and say check it out, it's probably this one. This is an interesting anime that has a premise that's sort of unique but ultimately becomes a pretty typical sci-fi fantasy show by the end. A man who talks about how one day everything will go to shit and how because of a prophecy he knows only he can save everyone. People kind of pass this man off as insane, and yeah, anime plot hits everyone and you get the prophecy coming true. I didn't like the main character too much, and it's not the most polished of series from animation to even the script at times, but it was a satisfying enough story that I think many who give it a shot might find some amusement, mainly due to the fact that there's a lot of small but not totally unique pieces at play, from action to story mechanics, that it's a lot of what I personally enjoy about the anime medium wrapped up into one package. I do think a lot of the potential was missed, and this could have become something truly unique with a premise such as this one, but even with that said, there was enough to keep me watching and even recommend it by saying try at least an episode because it would be easy to skip out on this one. It's most likely a love it or hate it show for most people out there, but you see where I fall on it. Isekai series are present nearly every anime season, and sometimes they move in a unique direction and they actually stick out, exactly like we see here. The idea of 4 heroes being summoned into this fantasy game-like world to protect against these waves of enemies is pretty basic. What makes it interesting is our main character, who is known as the shield hero, as he's basically hated from day one and everyone and everything is out to get him. So it starts off as typical, turns into a revenge isekai, where you watch really interesting character growth as we follow a man who hates this world and what it's done to him, while only showing vulnerable emotions to a select few who have gained his trust. Now, most of the tropes you expect are here, but luckily the author found a way to pander to one crowd just wanting the shallow content, while still using that trope in unique enough ways. One of the best examples is Philo, who you start off thinking, here we go again, but actually is a character and never a sex object for a harem like you expect with this genre. The main character Naofumi is exactly who we keep hoping for a main character year after year in these kinds of stories, as he calls out the bullshit and he isn't cliche. Even my friend Ryan, who hates these kind of anime, he actually loved this one, so that kind of says it all. I love cats. I love peaceful anime. This is a peaceful anime about a cat, so I love it. What's really great about this gem is how you'll see one part of the episode through the owner's perspective, and then the second part will be through the cat, who has the best damn voice imaginable. So you'll see how a human views a cat, and then you'll see how a cat views a human, and things make a whole lot of sense while being damn adorable, and I could honestly watch this show for 100 episodes, I'm not even joking. There's few anime I've seen over the years that I didn't enjoy but respected to a very high degree. Ergo Proxy is one of them, and is one of the anime that I consider to be a must-watch despite not getting that much amusement out of it. Boogie Pop is probably one of those anime that I respect a whole lot, even if it wasn't for me. Its unorthodox design for telling a story as it explores these many characters is something to be praised. I just didn't have a whole lot of fun with it, but rather it felt like a fascinating research project to me. I couldn't binge this one or watch it weekly, but a couple episodes a night was a good fix. I think in terms of what I wanted Index to be while watching Season 1 and 2, Season 3 delivered. It has some bumps along the road, but really it's just the best pieces of Index mixed into one, and I really enjoyed it. I don't have any connection to the source material, so those saying it's a bad adaptation might be correct, but frankly, I don't care, as I'm just here to watch anime, and I had a fun time with these characters and story as a whole, and the amount of content packed into this season surprisingly didn't turn me away. If copyright wasn't a thing, I'd use Enter Sandman from Metallica to introduce this one. That part where James sings, "We're off to Never Neverland." Anyway. I actually read the first big escape arc of this when the manga first started out years back. I loved it and stopped reading because I knew it'd become a great anime, and me being an anime guy, I wanted to be surprised for seasons to come. You can point out how the background art is lesser in quality than the manga, you could probably argue why not having internal monologue isn't the best decision, but when I see the detail in the voice acting, the visual directing from framing of shots to how light is used to express such a creepy atmosphere, how the soundtrack gives me chills and is one of the best OSTs in the past few years, all the little yet important details that make anime what it is allows for this series to pop out even more than it already did for me when I first read the manga. This is the scariest and creepiest anime I've seen because psychological horror is so much better than the jump scare bullshit we're typically used to. Interesting fact about this project, this is a crossover from Cygames that mixes a couple of their mobile properties into one, including one of my favorites, Rage of Bahamut. It was announced years ago and put on hold, and we thought it would never come out. That was until 2019 and it finally got released. You know what you're getting into. It's not a grand adventure, it's a cute girls doing cute things show wrapped around a slice of life banner from Cygames. If you expect that and enjoy that, then it's a fine and not groundbreaking experience. I had fun with it, but I won't remember it come a season from now. Honestly, I just hope this meme never dies. Though I think the latest arc of SAO falls into the habit of relying on old tricks past seasons used, which weren't the greatest, it's still a fun season. It's still the best visually looking SAO part, characters are still pretty likable, and the story progression is a lot tighter than past arcs, as this one actually feels like there's a clear direction rather than the author pulling things from his ass and calling it a day, like in pretty much every other season. So yeah, I still like it so far. At this point, I truly believe Gohan's is staffed by the biggest group of trolls, and I absolutely adore it. How they managed to get a Handshaker sequel past us with rebranding of the name is both hilarious and soul-crushing because truthfully, there's talent in this team, but they give us this instead. What a wonderful disaster. Now, I tend to like really obscure shows of the season. That one that I have to convince others to watch because they think I'm high is why else would I recommend something like this? Dimension High School is one half animation, really bad animation, and the other half live action, and you just need to see it to believe it. You have high school boys transported to an anime world, and it's so bad it's good. Really, it's worse than anything, but I kinda love it. I won't rate it highly, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't laugh, as the way it functions both visually and through dialogue is a hoot. Just imagine the worst way to make an anime, and this is pretty much it if W's wasn't in the same season. I had a lot of fun with season 1 of Kakaguri. Did it push the boundaries? No. but over-the-top games with such triple X reactions as possible made it a fun experience. I figured we didn't need a season 2 with how the first season ended, but walking out of this season, though I didn't necessarily need the sequel, I'm glad to have experienced it even if I still prefer the first season. Wasn't perfect, wasn't amazing, but it was fun, and sometimes just having fun is important. Though goddamn do they love these reactions even more this season. This is an anime I didn't expect to enjoy, but I actually had a lot of fun with. I used to enjoy harems when I was a trash anime fan, but I grew out of them like most people do. This one, however, is hilarious, as at most moments where it could go cliche, these girls or the MC said something rather hilarious, and I always appreciate a good comedy that can bend a genre into something unique, especially one that is so saturated like the harem genre. Now, are we ready for the shocker of the season? This is actually my favorite anime from this season. Crazy, I know, as there's a lot of solid picks, but every episode over the past 3 months have left me laughing, appreciating the structure to the comedy presented here, and honestly the characters even got a decent amount of character development for a rom-com, especially one that's only in its first season. The premise of 2 Death Note style characters trying to outclass the other so they can wear the pants in the relationship is hilarious, but the strong supporting cast, with the way jokes have so much thought and care put into them, left me laughing every episode, and at multiple points I had to pause to catch my breath. This isn't your average rom-com. Every character is so unique, every sequence come across different than the last, and this anime actually understands that comedy needs to be built out of layers. So basically you need multiple jokes leading up to the big punchline rather than a simple knock-knock joke formula that most anime can pretty much be summed down to as. This is the only time you'll hear me say this, but this is a rom-com where you hope that they'll keep dragging out the romantic confession. These 2 lovebirds are terrifying, hilarious, both want the other, but pride keeps them apart as we watch Death Note Romance Edition. I need anywhere from 5 to 10 seasons of this show, as the way they directed this anime both visually and through dialogue is simply phenomenal. You have Dororo for the historical samurai kick, Kaguya-sama for that pure entertainment factor that made my Saturdays turn from shit to an absolute delight, JoJo being JoJo, Shield Hero giving me faith in isekais again, but granted I know I'll be disappointed in them once Shield Hero leaves the next season, Neverland delivering what I wanted from the manga and proving horror anime can work in a modern anime industry, one showing how it's done with Mob Psycho, cute kitty anime, the list can go on. I even got season 2 of Dragon Prince this season from Netflix. I loved it, and I loved Winter, which I usually don't come out saying. Whether you're an action junkie, comedy enthusiast, isekai trash, you should find an anime or 2 that will fit your needs, and if you're like me who enjoys way too many genres, then you'll leave with a feeling that's sort of similar to eating too much food after a great meal. I won't be surprised if this is one of the top 2 seasons of the year, and best of all, a few of these gems are carrying over to the spring 2019 anime season. But that's all for this video. Let me know your picks for winter 2019 anime down in that comment section below. Remember to leave a like if you did enjoy, and hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. There's also my Patreon where you can directly help support the channel if you so wish, but until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.